And up next, we've got Subraj Singh from the speculative fiction cohort.
Good evening. So I'll be reading from a work in progress, a short story, and it's entitled Skin. The man slammed the door, shutting out the gray and wailing storm, and his entire family turned to look at him, their eyebrows raised. He kicked away his shoes, tore off his shirt, and scrambled to get out of his trousers. Then he took his underwear off. Finally, when he was naked, the man felt for the seam at the base of his throat, and in one fluid motion, he peeled the entire skin from his body and dashed it to the ground, leaving the skin to drag itself like a kicked dog to one corner of the room where it huddled, the smear of crimson blood on the floor, a rope that bound it to its owner. The mother dashed up and ran towards the man, but he pulled away from her and plopped himself onto her vacated seat on the sofa. He put his head in his hands and said nothing. Then the mother, knowing that it was bad luck to leave one's skin on the floor, ran over to her son's skin, which pressed itself tight against the wall as if afraid of her hands when she reached for it. Come, she said to the skin, which, after some hesitation, responded to the gentleness in her voice and allowed itself to be picked up by the mother, who smoothed it out over one arm so that, at first, it only draped itself obligingly before reaching its tendrils up and unfurling itself like an octopus, stretching its glossy folds so that it clung to the woman's arms and snaked up her shoulders and pasted itself across her breasts and curled between her fingers until she was swathed all over her hips and back with her son's skin. It was as if she had folded herself into a large new shawl. Perhaps skin recognized skin. Perhaps her son's skin knew that it had come from her, and that is why it rested peaceably in the mother's arms. The man's body, peeled and scarlet, shuddered as he began to cry in small, muffled sobs. The mother looked at the father, whose face remained a stony facade, and then she looked at the grandfather, who turned down his mouth and shook his ancient head. Then the mother looked at the pool of blood forming on the sofa, at her son's shaking shoulders, and clutched the bolt of skin closer, and the skin clasped itself to her too. Even though she knew that he did not feel the same way about it, she had always loved her son's skin. Even as a baby, it had always been so dark and so smooth, the color of clean, wet, fertile earth. She kept the skin gripped to her body and waited. Over the sound of the man's crying, the chittering of rain on the rooftop, and the drumming of thunder both got louder as they continued to tear through the gray wound that gaped in the side of the sky, and the skin in the mother's arms shivered. Thank you.